Thursday. It is Thursday, July 6th, 2023. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest, largest, first, and only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. It means two things. This group started the public conversation about student loan cancellation by executive order. Interesting wrinkle. That all started here on this group with a seminal interview on Vice News. And then with our petition, which currently has over 1.2 million signatures, change.org/cancel student loans. We've been around for 18 years, guys. We know what of we speak. So I'm going to get right into it. A couple of announcements. We have a fairly urgent interview request about people's reaction to the Supreme Court case that quashed Joe Biden's student loan cancellation. If you want to be interviewed, send me an email, Alan, ALAN, at studentloanjustice.org. Second, I should have said this first, actually. If you could donate right now, it would be very helpful. The last I checked, we needed 39 people to donate $10 or more to carry us through the week. We've got, don't get me started. I suck at fundraising, guys. We don't need a lot. We've moved mountains on this group, despite all the challenges, monetary being chief among them often. But anyways, please donate, dudes. If you appreciate all that we've done, all that we're doing, all that we're poised to get done, please help. So that's about it tonight. And by the way, if you're new to the group, welcome. We're glad you found us. Tell everyone you know with student loans about this group. We are the only group in the country fighting to actually solve, not pretend solve, actually solve the student loan problem. And that's true. The other groups out there are completely out to lunch. We can be begging Joe Biden or the next president for loan cancellation forever. And what we will get are these nonsense, feckless, up to $10,000, $20,000 loan cancellation gimmicks that, quite frankly, were probably never really sincere in the first place. I don't think Joe Biden ever really wanted to cancel loans. Many leading establishment Democrats never wanted to cancel student loans by executive order. That's a key wrinkle, guys. And see last night's live stream to see why the by executive order caveat is so important. So if I can see your comments and you're watching us on either Facebook or Twitter, by all means, throw your comments out, and I'm happy to read them aloud on air and respond to them. Got a really good call in on Wisconsin Public Radio today, by the way, and this is something that I would urge everyone to do. Anybody and everybody can be calling C-SPAN, can be calling their local radio stations, can be asking their local television stations to do news segments on the student loan crisis. That's what we need everybody to do, guys. This is a truly grassroots group. We are a working, fighting group. And the only time we ever get anywhere is when the people on this group, meaning you, actually get your knuckles a little muddy, a little bloody, put forth a little bit of effort to make things happen. So if you're wondering what you might do, particularly if you're new to the group, I would say go to our website and do our daily actions. So our daily actions are very simple. They're short. They're quick. It's usually Twitter stuff like retweet this, retweet that. We have a huge muscle to flex, ladies and gentlemen. I know it doesn't look like it, but we've got like 1.4 million members in this group. That's a massive, massive muscle that we have to flex. And that only happens, and it will happen, when you help. That's the most important thing I'll tell you tonight. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on right now. The fog is finally starting to clear. We're into the new week after the Supreme Court ruling. Hopefully you saw our interview on Fox News and in Newsweek, The Guardian, other places last week. But we've been doing this for 18 years, guys, and basically what I see happening right now is the Biden administration is pivoting, and they may or may not retry a loan cancellation by executive order. I know that they're going to be pushed by us and many other people to use different law than what they used. So the law they did use was this emergency powers legislation called the HEROES Act. Pretty ill-fitting law, quite frankly. But there's far better, broader law that they could have used, they should have used in the Higher Education Act. But honestly, guys, I don't think the establishment, and that's on both sides of the political aisle, and by the way, we're officially a nonpartisan group, I don't think the Biden administration ever wanted to cancel loans by executive order. I know Nancy Pelosi didn't want it. I know many, many, many other establishment Democrats did not want it. The dirty little secret, guys, is the Democrats are not necessarily our friends, dudes. So what we're seeing, and the best way to figure out what a Democratic administration is thinking, listen to NPR. You know, I call it national propaganda radio, quite frankly. And that's true at the national level. They are just terrible. They are a mouthpiece for the Department of Education, and particularly when we're under a Democratic administration. That's certainly true. But in reading articles and seeing the coverage, et cetera, here's what the Biden administration is doing. They're trying to pivot away from student loan cancellation, and they are now, and by the way, they remain completely silent on the bankruptcy issue, and that lies at the core of everything. The most important policy point I have for you tonight is that we're never going to see meaningful student loan cancellation unless and until they return constitutional standard bankruptcy rights to student loans as they exist for all other loans. Founding fathers called for bankruptcy in the Constitution, and this lies at the core of everything. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy does not matter. Most people won't have to. We've got to get the leverage of bankruptcy return in order to see anything good. But here's what the Biden administration is doing. They're quiet on bankruptcy because the dirty little secret is no, that's kryptonite to the people who love the student loan system. What they are doing is pushing yet another income-driven repayment plan. So here's the short history, guys. We've had various income-driven repayment plans since 1995. We've had the income contingent repayment plan, which was started in 1995. We've had the income-based repayment program, which was started in 2007. We have the pay-as-you-earn program, which was somewhere around there, maybe a little later. We have the revised pay-as-you-earn program. And all of these income-driven repayment programs promise to cancel your loans after you pay for 10, 20, 25 years. Public service loan forgiveness is sort of a wrinkle on that. So here we are. And by the way, the most important thing about these income-driven repayment programs that you need to know, guys, is that the vast majority, like 97%, like well over 90%, 95, 96, 97, 98% of the people trying for these IDRs are being disqualified out of the programs. And the people who get kicked out, maybe in year 12 or 15, or maybe shortly before they're about to get it, whatever, they are left owing far, far, far more than had they never tried in the first place. So these IDRs, in the absence of bankruptcy protections, guys, the Department of Education can do whatever it wants. And what the Department of Education wants is to disqualify people out of all of these income-driven repayment plans. So now here we are. The Biden administration is trotting out yet another income-driven repayment program. This one, they're calling it SAVE, and I haven't even bothered to see what that acronym stands for, but it's all nonsense, guys. The SAVE income-driven repayment program is literally a revised version. Listen to this. It's a revised version of the revised pay-as-you-earn program. So it's like repay. That's a far better acronym. Guys, don't fall for it. It's fake. It's a cruel trick. It's a cruel joke. And you are the punchline. We've been doing this for 18 years, guys. The Department of Education has never had, does not now have, and will never have any desire or intentions of canceling any loans. They hate that. They don't want to cancel loans. It's not in their corporate DNA. It's pretty sad that we're talking about a government agency. We're talking about a corporate culture, but that is exactly what's going on at the Department of Education. They will administer these programs to death. And history shows, like, the proof is in the pudding, guys. And if you sit there and you trust the Department of Education with yet another income-driven repayment program, and you sign your signature on the dotted line, which sort of revalidates the debt, that's just, in my humble, well-studied opinion, that's just idiotic. It's idiotic. It's like Lucy and the football and Charlie Brown. How many times are we going to be played for fools, ladies and gentlemen? We don't have to put up with this shit, guys. And remember, distressed borrowers are 85% of all student loan borrowers, 38 million people. We own this lending system, ladies and gentlemen. And you're not alone. And if you thought you were alone, let me disabuse you of that notion. Not only are you not alone, not only is it stupid for you to be suffering in silence, we, the people who were never going to be able to repay their student loans, even before the pandemic, we are 38 million of the 43 million student loan borrowers. That's far greater than all of the standing armies on earth combined. It is. Think about that, guys. We have a huge muscle to flex. And I'm telling you, these income-driven repayment plans, both past, present, and proposed in the future, they are anchors disguised as life vests. Please benefit from my wisdom, benefit from the wisdom of all the old timers in our group. Don't fall for it. Don't try and kick that football like Charlie Brown does every single time. Help us fight. You know, this all comes down to bankruptcy rights, guys. There's almost nobody who's willing to publicly argue against returning bankruptcy rights to student loans. There's a ton of people arguing against student loan cancellation by executive order, but there is almost no one willing to publicly argue against returning bankruptcy protections to student loans, guys. This is a nuclear strong argument, and we've been making it for 18 years, guys. Last session, we came close, but the Democrats betrayed us, I have to be honest. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group. We hate the Republicans. We hate the Democrats in very different ways, actually. But guys, this all comes down to bankruptcy. Whether you would ever or never file is not important. What is important is that we, the people, get the right of bankruptcy returned as the founding fathers called for it, ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army. And you can hear me go into far greater depth on this in a half-hour interview that we just did on Fox News Radio last week. You can go to our website and look at the very top, and you can see our interview and understand why this is true. This is what it all comes down to, guys. So I'm going to try and keep this live stream short. I say that every night, and usually I fail, but tonight I'm serious. I'm going to try and keep this live stream to less than 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to look for your questions and comments now, if I can see them. So strength in numbers, guys. You know, I know everybody's really stressing out right now, particularly looking at these loans being turned back on. There's strength in numbers, and we need you with us fighting, because when they turn these loans back on, it's going to be a bloodbath, guys. If they turn these loans back on and bankruptcy protections remain gone from these loans, we have literally, we're fish in a barrel. We're over a barrel, whatever you want to call it. It will not be good. And shame on the other groups, by the way, who go mute, or suddenly they become is retarded. Can I say retarded? I don't know. All of a sudden they become dumb when you mention the bankruptcy issue. That is deplorable. In fact, it's suspicious. You know, many of these groups, in fact, most of these groups, in fact, all the other big groups, they're making money off of this problem, guys. They're pimping this problem. They don't want to solve this problem. And they know that returning bankruptcy rights to these loans would indeed solve this problem. The president would have to cancel loans broadly, meaningfully, deeply, maybe even totally, when we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned, because there's 38 million of us. And in an average year, less than 1 million people file for bankruptcy for any reason. So could you imagine if 5, 10, 15 million people file for bankruptcy in a year? No. That's never going to happen. No president is going to preside over that. They would much rather cancel the loans broadly. But, you know, no matter what you want to see happen with your student loans, whether you want to break on interest, whether you want some other negotiated workout, that's whatever you want to see happen with your student loans, it will not happen unless and until we get our bankruptcy rights back. It's the strongest argument out there. We came very close last session. Too bad the Democrats betrayed us, and that's true. But, and this is very easy to make happen, but it will only happen when a significant percentage of the people on our group do, at a minimum, our daily actions. We can do it, guys. 1.4 million people is enough to shut down every switchboard in Washington, D.C. It's enough to, blow up every Twitter account of everybody who we target. So it's not hard, guys, but it requires a little bit of effort. It requires effort from you. And that's the most important thing that I'll say tonight. So, here we are, looking for your comments now. Hey, Joanna Kearns is with us from Florida. Hey, Joanna. Joanna Kearns says, they can take their phony niceness and shove it. I think you're maybe talking about NPR there. Yeah. I try to be very polite when I'm on NPR. I've done many interviews on NPR. I did a call in today, like what we do for C-SPAN. And I was polite, but I told the truth and I made the points. Joanna says, they will not ignore us. They will not ignore us. It is true. Just a bunch of young, stupid kids who could honestly give a damn, but we do. Not sure exactly what you're trying to say there, Joanna, but I can tell you this. If 10% of the people on our group, that's 140,000 people, 10% of the people on our group were to call a couple of congressmen in one day, it would probably literally melt the phone switchboard. It would be by far and away the largest wave of phone calls ever received, ever, by any congressional office anywhere in the history of the world. If 1 out of 10 of the people on our group were doing our daily actions. Do our daily actions. Go to the website, Student Loan Justice. Look, daily actions. Look at them. Hey, Ann Cooper's with us tonight. Hey, Ann. Ann says, there have been several articles about how the repayment resumption will send the country into recession. There may be something to that, Ann. When 42 million people are forced to be making on average a $400 a month payment on their student loans, that's sucking a lot of money out of the consumer economy. But more than that, even before the pandemic, most people were unable to make payments on their loans. And most people who were paying were seeing their loan balances increase. Now, here we are 3.5 years after the pandemic started. Inflation is sucking away more than $400 a month from these people. It's sucking about $500 a month away from these people. That was their student loan payment. So those who were able to pay absolutely will not be able to pay. And, whether it causes a recession or not, I don't know. Here's what I do know, guys. Very few people will resume paying on their student loans. It's just not going to happen. Before the pandemic, 3 in 5 of all student loan borrowers were not repaying their loans. They weren't. And even if you take out the people who were in college, which have an excuse, I guess, or people who are in their grace period, still over half of student loan borrowers were not paying before the pandemic. That is going to go up by a lot. That's going to go up by easily 20%. My best estimate is that when they try and turn these loans back on, probably 80% of all borrowers will not resume making payments. And if you don't count the people in school or on grace, it's going to be 70+% will not resume paying on their student loans. So, and in my humble opinion, nobody should resume paying on their student loans. It is a nationally threatening, unconstitutional loan scam. In my humble opinion, people are going to do what they're going to do. In my humble opinion, if you ever pay another dollar on your federal student loans, probably not only unwise, but in my humble opinion, it's unpatriotic. Don't feed the beast. Why would you do that? But whatever, regardless of what I say or do, the fact is when they turn these loan payments back on, 70+% of everybody will not resume paying. And within a few months after that, it'll go up even higher because people are going to be like, oh, yeah, now I remember why I couldn't deal with my student loans. Yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. So that's just a fact, guys. The lending system has failed. It is essentially it is collapsing in front of our very eyes, albeit in slow motion. You know, there will maybe always be a small percentage of people who will resume paying. That's true, but you know, at what point do you stand up? You know, the founding fathers, if they're watching us and they saw the scam that was pulled on us, they saw this trick. In fact, they were very worried about this trick being pulled on the citizens 250 years ago. That's why they called for uniform bankruptcy laws in the Constitution. And if I had to guess, I would say the founding fathers are looking down and they're saying, how did our people get so weak? How did they let themselves be conquered and enslaved, in John Adams' words, by this day when, you know, we were founding the country? We would have thrown our loan papers into Boston Harbor, or burned them, or had a student loan tea party or something. Yeah, they would have said, that's what the founders would have done. And I think they're looking down in disgust to see how weak the people have become. So think about that. So, okay, guys, I know we have more comments. I'm sorry I can't get to them, but I really need to keep our live streams shorter going forward. And so I hope you got something out of this. This is very important, guys. The next few months are absolutely critical between now and September 1st. I would like to get our bankruptcy rights returned before September 1st when repayments resume, guys. If we don't, it will be bad. It will be very bad. Bad for you, bad for me, bad for everybody with student loans. So let's not go there. Let's head this off at the pass, shall we? Do our daily actions, please. Okay, guys, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow, Friday. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed.